Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth.
Names he's only heard of. Foreign lands beyond the little island of his state. How can he ever see them? How can he ever know his country? Understand the men who make it? How can he ever see the wharfies lumping cargo on ships from Plymouth, Amsterdam and Kiel? Or hear the tales of sailors who'll catch him shoulder high to point the channel for wallowing tankers rolling into port? How can he ever see them pour the molten pig iron, the sweating men and dancing sparks? See them shoveling, spinning, blasting white-hot steel? How can he ever stand on tiptoe in the cities, searching for friends among the hurrying faces? How locked up in his little island state can he ever share in this our Commonwealth? Somewhere across a sea of borders are men and women in their island states. He can write them a letter that's simple. The states are only finger posts to mail.
Melbourne, Perth, Darwin, Cairns,
Hobart, Hilton, Yakandanda,
Manly, Coburg.
Or call them by phone. That's simple too. There's no restriction on the wires. They hop the borders. Write to them or call them by phone. He can do that quickly and easily. But try and go to see them.
Albury, all change!
What's the hold?
Wake the children.
Grab the luggage.
Find the ticket. Get a porter.
We're changing trains.
We're changing gauge. This is the border. This is the barrier between the states.
They won't be in your purse. I always keep them in this pocket.
Tried looking in your overcoat.
They won't be in my overcoat. I always keep them in this pocket.
I want to stay in this train.
But we can't, dear.
Why?
Because we have to change into another one.
Why?
Because this is as far as this one goes.
Why?
Because it wants a rest. I don't know. Come on.
Look in the other suitcase.
No, they won't be in a suitcase. I always keep them in this pocket.
1,000 passengers every day. 4,000 tons of freight every week. Men, women, children, babies, papers, parcels, pears, potatoes, plows, tractors, cultivators, turkeys, ducks, onions, apples, fowls, chickens, sheep and cattle, bulls, cows, iron, steel, timber, coal, and circuses. Changing carriages, changing trucks, wasting manpower, wasting time. The rails of the clown in this circus ring, tumbling, juggling, dropping the freight, but we're not laughing. Not when Australia's fate is in the balance. Just turn back to 42. Remember? A division of men and equipment bundled into anything on wheels crawled across the flat, bare belly of Australia. Change of gauge clogged up their effort. But all the time, the Japs were coming closer. Look at the map. The Japs did. They saw the broken gauge between the states and laughed at the hopeless bottlenecks. laughed at the line shrunk to 3 feet 6 in the west, that suddenly stopped and changed to 4 feet 8 1/2 to cross the Nullarbor. And then stopped again and spread out wider to 5 feet 3 across Victoria. And stopped again and changed back to the standard in New South Wales, 4 feet 8 1/2. Then up to Queensland and change again, back to 3 feet 6. 6 different gauges, 100 different engines, 1,000 different trucks. Look ahead, break down the barriers, throw a single line of steel about Australia, climbing Barclay Tableland, joining Darwin to the south. Push up the horizon, reach out to the lonely men who fight the endless distance of the inland.
Some of us have to drove our cattle up to 1,000 miles to get to a railhead. Long droves like that cost real money, and a lot of cattle are lost in the wild stretches through the centre. By the time they get to the train, they're so poor it takes a year to get the muscle off and put on some fat. The way it is now, the cattle have to be about 6 years old to stand the long drove. If we had the rail, we could market them at 3 years and double our turnover. Some people say aeroplanes will soon be doing the job. They forget the city markets use 1,000 head a week, and that's a lot of passengers, especially when they're 2,000-pound four-footed bulls. And not only cattle. What about the 120,000 sheep that feed the cities every week? A rail could bring them down, more of them and in better condition. Without a rail, you can't lift your sheep away when a drought strikes. In 26, a drought came down on the midwest of Queensland and took 4.5 million of them. Perished, buried in dust and sand. 4.5 million of them. That's a lot of sheep. But it's not only cattle and sheep. What about the grower in the west?
If we had a direct rail, Western Australia could become the California of Australia. Instead of having to pick our fruit and vegetables half green the way we do now, we could pick them ripe at their best and rail them to the east in refrigerated cars on fast trains. They could cross Australia from Perth to Sydney in about 4.5 days.
Today, Australian railways carry a yearly load of 525 million passengers and 39 million tons of freight. Essential to Australia's defence program is coordination of railways. In America, the United States Chief of Transport said,
"In the European theaters of operations, railways contributed to victory more than any other means of transport. One of the first jobs after the conquest of France was the rehabilitation of railway systems. Thousands of locomotives and freight cars were shipped to the continent. By VE Day, railways had carried more operational freight than the highways."
Broken by 6 different gauges, Australian railways only gave the war a fraction of its great potential. Munitions, machines, soldiers, civilians jammed the break of gauge points. Hopeless bottlenecks with only one solution: standardize.
Standardize, standardize.
Draw up the blueprints, put the plans into action. From Perth to Darwin on a standard gauge. Map the deserts, span the rivers, fill the swamps, tunnel the mountains, break the barriers between the states. Clear the forests, fell the ironbarks, haul the timber, cut the 12 million wooden sleepers. And standardize, modernize the carriages, the axle box, the engines, the brake shoes, the brake heads, the ferrules and the couplers, the roll steel wheels. Where is it going? Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth. Jump aboard, boy. Boy from the outback. You're leaving a state and seeing a nation. Ride easy now. Ride easy on the rail, the one long rail. This is the Union of the States. This is the journey of a nation.